Senator Sinema.
Thank you, Chair Cantwell, and thank you, Ms. Sohn, for returning to the committee to answer more questions related to your nomination as FCC Commissioner. Last year, as the committee considered your nomination, we discussed how your time on the board of directors of Locast could impact your work as an FCC Commissioner if confirmed. Following that hearing, you filed a recusal agreement to the FCC Ethics Office to recuse yourself from matters involving retransmission consent or television broadcast copyright for 3 years. And now you're recusing yourself for 4 years from the rules governing retransmission consent on any related FCC dockets. So I have 2 questions. First, why did you recuse yourself when you testified to this committee last year that a recusal was unnecessary? And second, do you believe that your recusals from these matters and dockets will negatively impact the ability of the FCC to oversee these areas within its jurisdiction?
Yeah. I recused myself. I voluntarily recused myself because there was such widespread concern. I think I counted 8 people on the members of the committee who were concerned about my membership of Locast and whether that would bias me or not. Now, I didn't believe I would be biased, but I thought just it would be the better part of caution for me to voluntarily recuse, and this is a narrow recusal, in my opinion, a narrowly recuse from a number of issues that rarely come before the full commission, and when they do, they're usually voted on in a 4-0 manner. So my 4-year recusal was for a docket that hasn't had seen any action in almost a decade, 9 years, excuse me. So that's 10, I'm losing the name of the docket. So to me, that is, you know, it's important that I voluntarily recuse, but I don't see it really detracting from my duties. The other recusal was for retransmission consent and broadcast copyright. Again, these are things that rarely come before the full commission. Broadcast copyright never does, but retransmission consent does on occasion. Senator Fisher actually pointed out that it come before the commission, I guess 10 times in 12 years or 12 times in 10 years, but every single time it was a 4-0 decision. So I don't think it's going to take me away from the work of the commission.
Thank you. Ms. Sohn, a number of law enforcement organizations oppose your nomination to be a commissioner. These organizations are taking these positions based on your social media engagement and concerns about your position with regard to access to digital evidence. So what is your perspective regarding law enforcement's ability to access digital evidence with a valid warrant? And relatedly, what is your position on warrant-proof encryption?
Yeah, see, these are issues that I really don't have positions on. EFF has a position on. I do think people should be able to encrypt their, their personal communications, but I think there has to be a balance. So, for example, under CALEA, the FCC is required, and telecom companies are required to give law enforcement access. So, of course, law enforcement should have access with a warrant to lawful communication. So, I'll be honest with you, Senator Sinema, this is one of the things that kind of baffles me, because the FCC does not have jurisdiction over encryption issues. So my personal opinion, which again is not a fully formed one because I'm not an expert on it, I don't think it's really particularly relevant to this conversation because it's nothing I would ever deal with at the FCC.
Thank you. You know, just last month, the Tucson Unified School District was hacked by a criminal ransomware gang. It held their network hostage, causing disruptions in school operations for 2 weeks. The FBI and CISA have warned for years that schools are vulnerable to cyber attacks. Now, this is just the latest of a series in cyber attacks on Arizona schools. In the Navajo Nation, a ransomware attack on the Window Rock Unified School District took their systems entirely offline, causing lengthy delays in payroll and other services. The FCC in September received a letter from the Arizona Department of Education urging them to allow schools to use E-rate funding for more advanced cybersecurity infrastructure and systems. The E-rate program currently supports broadband and basic firewall systems, but it limits aid for advanced network protection. So do you support allowing schools to use their E-rate funds to purchase a broader range of cybersecurity tools, such as advanced firewalls and other network security services?
Yeah, I think that's something that the FCC should definitely look at. I've heard about this in Arizona and other states, and I think this is something where E-rate funding, if we're talking about making sure that students, K through 12 students, have the best networks, the most secure networks, it seems to me logical, and again, the FCC would have to do a proceeding on this, to extend E-rate funding to cybersecurity tools.
Thanks. And you and I have discussed net neutrality a few times, but I wanted to follow up on those conversations. As you know, there have been decades of partisan disagreement about net neutrality, and the FCC changes the rules every administration, which leads to litigation. I think the only way for us to fix it is for Congress to pass a bipartisan bill that provides these protections while ensuring opportunity for innovation. Has your position regarding net neutrality changed since we last spoke? And do you still support using Title II of the Telecommunications Act to pursue net neutrality?
Yes, Senator, my position hasn't changed to the extent that I don't like the ping pong game any more than you do, and I would love to see Congress pass a law. However, if Congress doesn't do so, it's critically important that the FCC have oversight over broadband. And right now, for good or for ill, Title II with a lot of forbearance. So in 2015, when I was at the FCC, we forbore from 90% of Title II. I think, unfortunately, is the only answer. But I would welcome the opportunity to work with Congress to craft a bill that gives the FCC some authority over broadband oversight and deals with net neutrality.
Senator Young.
Thank you.
Thank you.